So ideally you want a face shield. I can't find my welding hood or nothing. So what I'm gonna do, I have a tiger paw, it's called. It's an abrasive like sandpaper, and we're not going to like cut anything. We're gonna grind this weld down and clean it up around it and try to find, because it's tried to pull apart, and I don't think we'll have to grind all of it down. I think we can clean up the weld and just grind a little bit back and this bar will come off. What I don't want to do is cut into this and skin it all up and scratch it up, because when we re-weld it, if we cut into it, we may not hit that same spot. You know, when we have to turn it a little bit to remount this, if I cut it up here somewhere and it's tweaked, that cut might hit this bar and have a big gouge up here somewhere. We're trying to keep it halfway clean. So we got the tiger paw. It's an 80 grit. They make a lot more aggressive than this. But right now, ultimately, we're just trying to clean it up and get us a place to start from so we can see the weld, and you know, we might be able to grind far enough and get the weld to let go. So that's what we're working with right now. Okay. Alright, so you can see where the weld, if I can get this thing to focus, see where the weld is, and we have to grind that out with the grinding rock. This probably won't do it, but all I wanted to do right then was just clean it up. I have to flip it over and clean the other side. But you can see, maybe you can't see, that where it's dark and discolored, that's where the weld's tried to pull away or undercut or something. Alright, with this one, you can see plainly, this weld just broke. So we're going to have to clean all that up, try to get a better game plan, get all that's got to be re-welded. All that'll have to be ground down, smoothed, and that will have to be re-welded. So that weld broke on this one. So we'll flip it over and work on it, try to get it clean on the other side, and then we'll start trying to grind that out without skinning this up too bad. Alright, we're going to break out the grinding rock and see if we can't grind a little deeper. Here we go. Well, it's going to be hard to get underneath there, underneath the plate piece. I hope I don't have to cut it off to get to it. Alright, we should be getting close to it. I think it's finally coming. All right, so we're getting somewhere with it. So, now what we got to do is clean up all this mess. Which is a mess. But time to put the grinding rock back on. The grinding rock will take off more material at a time. So you want to, when you're wanting a lot of material, you want to run it. When you want just a little bit, you run the tiger paw, and that'll smooth everything out. You got a lock on the back of this, and you take your little tool, and that gets you what you're supposed to do on the opposite side of your guard. But a lot of guys will take that guard off. I don't want a trip to the hospital. And you just tighten this by hand. You don't have to actually use the tool to tighten it. Alright, so now we got to clean up this mess. Alright, now that we got the paint off of it, we're going to get us some sandpaper here. And this is a real fine sandpaper. This is 320. It's not the finest, but it's enough to smooth this down, put a coat of paint on it, at least till we get ready to put it all back together like it should be. So what we do now, we'll slick her down. And you can see where it's still got the old paint on it, but you won't be able to feel it once I get done with this here. We're just trying to temporary it for now, that's all we worry about. Try to make it where the paint will lay down and look halfway decent. We'll take this 320, keep flicking her down. And you probably still see paint, but we ain't worried about all that right now. Like I say, this is literally going to be temporary until we get it off. We'll have to weld on it and all this other stuff again. Wipe it down. If I got some alcohol or something, wipe it down, and that'll get our dust off, that'll get our fingerprints, and that'll make it where the paint won't run into any like oil off my skin, or it'll clean any dust off. That'll keep it from sticking to the actual metal. About ready for a coat of paint. Let me see if we got some alcohol to put on it. Alright, I put a little coat of silver over it. You can see it's still got some imperfections. Never claimed to be a painter. This stuff is super thin, so if you go to putting this paint on, you need to spray it thin. Yeah, this stuff sprays like water. So spray it super thin. I can't stress that enough. So that's where I cut the other piece out. Yeah, that looks like crap, but I mean, when I go back to, we get everything welded back together. See, it's trying to run as thin as I'm spraying right there. That stuff is so thin. Alright, so got busy today. I finished the bash bar and got it mounted on my son's car, but they were here, my son and his friend, and they helped me move cars around and take tires to the tire shop, and my son took off in his car before I got a video of it. You'll see it. We're going drifting this weekend, so it'll be on there for a few days with the single bar. But we brought the old trusty IS300. Everybody else is still the same. As bad as I hate to see all the moisture there, and it's directly, I think the water pump in this Civic is bad too, so I'm going to end up having to change, I'm pretty sure, the water pump and all that on this Civic anyway. So I got to adjust the valve still. I hadn't had a chance to do that, but tomorrow I got a few more drifting things to finish up, mount and balance some tires, a couple other things, and gather up tools, all the fluids and stuff we take with us. We usually take antifreeze, some oil, stuff like that, brake fluid, power steering fluid, just the basics, and a handful of tools and a jack, a bunch of tires. So yeah, it was a pretty productive day. There's things I would have liked to have got done that I didn't get done today, but I've got tomorrow, and really pretty much it wouldn't take very long to get my rollback here, get the G35 loaded up. I'll probably end up washing it and stuff. But it seems like that's all I ever have, but it ends up being a big ordeal, and it's dark and I'm still loading and all that for some reason. But I'm gonna try to get in here in the morning fairly early and get it washed up and loaded. It's supposed to be a little chilly tomorrow, starting to get cold weather. So yeah, I'll get that. And I may, if if I can get everything loaded, get the tires changed, and get everything with the drift stuff figured out, I may let the Civic down and go ahead and start tearing into it, try to figure out if it's the water pump, which I think it is. I'm probably 80% sure it's a water pump because it's right at the bottom of the timing cover and the water pump's inside there. So, and this thing had a blown head gasket, so I would imagine they were probably having issues out of the water pump, didn't know, and was just driving away with, you know. So that's probably the issue. I'm gonna hope we'll get that took care of, and maybe, oh well, I gotta get the parts and get it tore down and put it all back together. Go ahead and get timing set, water pump, the whole thing, and change that out, and hopefully that'll go pretty quick, and that'll be the end of this car. Maybe some minor stuff or something, I don't know just yet. And yeah, I'll try to get in there and get the valve adjusted tomorrow, get this at least tore down, and we'll go from there. And the IS300, my daughter's driving that thing, so I'm gonna do an oil change on it, and the driver's window is having issues. It's like fell down in the door, and so I'm gonna pull all that off and try to figure out what's going wrong there. Try to get that replaced, get it fixed, whatever it needs. She's driving the Subaru now, so that gives me a minute to fix this. But yeah, I'll get it back together and get her back in that, and then I can get the Subaru back and get it finished, because all it needs is like the inside door handle. I still didn't get to it today, but it's getting cold tonight, and I wasn't gonna have her and her baby in this car and it cold. So I was doing the dad thing and the papa thing, or grandpa, papa, whatever you want to call it. Still kind of new, but sounds funny. I'm old. Tells me how old I am. But anywho, we still got a few things going, a lot more behind it. Tons and tons and tons of stuff. So it's always something. But we'll do some drifting this weekend. Hopefully, we've not made up our mind. I think we're going to go to Nyota. I don't think we'll go to the bigger track this weekend. It's a lot more money, and there's things we still need. Like for me to drive that track, I really need a handbrake, and we've only got one helmet still. I keep forgetting to order. I have so many things I do. Had some rental issues, got one that we're dealing with, and yeah, it's a little bit of everything. It's all over the place still. But all right, here we go.
I'm feeling high.